Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Renee and today I'm going to be doing my top 21 most anticipated releases of 2021. So there's a lot of really awesome books coming out in 2021, but that would just be way too long of a video, so I decided to just do my 21 most anticipated books in honor of moving forward from 2020 into 2021. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So starting with January, there are two books actually coming out on January 5th that I'm super excited for, and you better believe they're on pre-order. The first book on January 5th is Lore by Alexander Bracken. Now, this book involves Greek mythology. It's a fantasy, and anything with mythology really just screams to me, so I'm very excited about it. So, a little snippet from the synopsis is every 7 years the Aegon begins. As punishment for a past rebellion, 9 Greek gods are forced to walk the earth as mortals, hunted by the descendants of ancient bloodlines, all eager to kill a god and seize their divine power and immortality. Say less. Also on January 5th, we have Bedazzled by Ryan Lasala. Now, this is a contemporary, and I'm not usually too into contemporaries, but this one just screamed to me from across the room, like a must read. So this is being pitched as Project Runway goes to Comic-Con in an epic queer love story about creativity, passion, and finding the courage to be your most authentic self. Bruh. That's everything. That's everything. So if you don't know, I am a cosplayer, and I've been in the cosplay community for several years now, and I adore it. And I've never really found a book that had that cosplay element incorporated into it, so I think that this is just going to be really fun, and I'm just so excited to see what's in store for it. I really hope that I'll like it. Then on January 12th, we have Into the Heartless Wood by Joanna Ruth Meyer. Now, this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I'm kind of starting to stray away from those just because I feel like there's so many, but this is a gender-swapped Beauty and the Beast retelling that takes place in the woods. So it says, the forest is a dangerous place where siren song lures men and women to their deaths. For centuries, a witch has harvested souls to feed the Heartless tree, using its power to grow her domain. When Owen Merrick is lured into the witch's wood, one of her tree siren daughters, Saren, saves his life instead of ending it. And I'll leave it at that, because I feel like that's all I need to know. I feel like that's all anybody needs to know. Honestly, I feel like with stories like this, the less you know, the better. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Then moving on to February, there are two books coming out on February 2nd. February 2nd. The first one is The Project by Courtney Summers. Now, this is a mystery thriller, and from what I understand, there's cultish things in the book, and that concept is very interesting to me. But essentially, we follow Lo, whose sister joined something called the Unity Project, and then there's just something not right about it. There's just something amiss with the Unity Project, and then a man shows up at the magazine Lo works for, claiming the Unity Project killed his son. And then Lo pretty much sets out on this hunt to expose the Unity Project, and it just sounds really interesting. It sounds like it's going to be a wild ride, and I really hope I enjoy it because I have very high hopes for this book. Also on February 2nd, we have What Big Teeth, and before I even get into anything about this book, can we just talk about the cover? The cover is honestly what drew me into this book. I didn't even know anything about it. I just saw that the cover looked super stunning, and here we are. So this is a horror mystery, gothic vibe, young adult book, and it is being pitched as Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children meets the Addams family in this haunting story of one girl's attempt to reconnect with her monstrous family. Now, I do love the Addams family, always have, always will, but I'm not the biggest fan of Miss Peregrine's. It wasn't for me. But that whole portion of this aside, the rest of the book definitely sounds very intriguing to me, so I'm definitely going to read it 100%. I'm very excited. Then lastly in February, on February 23rd, we have A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. So this is the first book in a new upcoming young adult fantasy series, and literally the first line of the synopsis is choose your player. Yes. And from what I understand, it's queer teens, fae, Canada. I'm not from Canada, but that just sounds awesome. And then just to give a little snippet, it says, for centuries, the 8 courts of folk have lived among us, concealed by magic and bound by law to do no harm to humans. This arrangement has long kept peace in the courts until a series of gruesome and ritualistic murders rocks the city of Toronto and threatens to expose fairies to the human world. Four queer teens, each who hold a key piece to the truth behind these murders, must form a tenuous alliance in their effort to track down the destruction of the fairy and human worlds alike. Like, yes. So I'm super excited. I really hope I like this book because I've been kind of dying to get into a new series. So moving on to March. On March 2nd, we have The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This is an adult book. It is an adult thriller with also historical elements in it too. I believe it takes place in the 1700s. And I've been making an effort to read more adult books lately. I feel like it's just time. And this one just sounds so far up my alley. It screams girl power. And it's just such an interesting concept. So a little snippet is, once a respected healer, Nella now uses her knowledge for a darker purpose, selling well-disguised poisons to desperate women who would kill to be free of the men in their lives. Rule number 1, the poison must never be used to harm another woman. Rule number 2, the names of the murderer and her victim must be recorded in the apothecary's register. So she literally has a register of all of the women who has used her poison, and eventually someone comes along, I believe, and has the power to expose that. And it's just, it goes from there on this wild ride. Next up on March 9th, we have The Girls Here Are Also Nice by Lori Elizabeth Flynn. This is another adult mystery thriller book, and it essentially is about two former best friends who return to their college reunion to find out they're being circled by someone who wants revenge for what they did 10 years before and will stop at nothing to get it. In this shocking psychological thriller about ambition, toxic friendship, and deadly desire. Yes. And from what I understand, it also alternates between when the girls were in school and then back at the reunion, trying to kind of piece together this mystery they have of who's out to get them. And once again, I really hope I like this book because I really am so hyped for this book. I can't explain it. There's just something about this book that has interested me from like the moment I first saw it. Like, this is probably one of my top most anticipated reads. Then on March 23rd, we have Lost in the Neverwoods by Aidan Thomas. And I believe this is the Peter Pan retelling, and that's really all I needed to know to get hooked because Peter Pan is one of my favorites. And I absolutely adore the story, so I will read it over and over again in any type of format. And it literally starts by saying, when children go missing, people want answers. And also, can we just talk about the cover? Like, this cover is just so beautiful. This might be one of my favorite covers on this whole list. It's stunning. And I'm just really excited to see what they do with the story of Peter Pan in this version, so I'm very excited. And I need to stop saying I'm excited. I'm just excited. Next, on March 30th, we have She's Too Pretty to Burn by Wendy Hurd. This is a young adult mystery thriller. There is LGBT rep in this book, from what I understand. And let me just read you this little snippet. 1 fire, 2 murders, 3 drowning bodies, 1 suspect, 1 stalker. And I think that that's all I'm going to focus on because I feel like with a book like this, that's all I really need to know. And that's all I really want to know. I want to keep it as much a mystery as I can, but just that little bit in the middle of the synopsis right there is enough to have me completely roped in. That's pretty much all I need. So I'm going to leave it at that. Then moving on to April. On April 6th, we have the Infinity Quartz. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of added this based on the cover. The cover is just stunning. As soon as I saw it, I was like, well, I gotta read it. But when I read the synopsis, it sounds incredible. 18-year-old Nami Miyamoto is certain her life is just beginning. She has a great family, just graduated high school, and is on her way to a party where her entire class is waiting for her. The only problem, she's murdered before she gets there. And when Nami wakes up, she learns she's in a place called Infinity, where human consciousness goes when physical bodies die. Dope. Stunning cover, super interesting plot. Yeah, what more do you need? Then on April 20th, we have The Forest of Stolen Girls by June Her. And once again, gorgeous cover. I swear 2021 is the year of beautiful covers. So this book follows a girl whose father vanished while investigating a series of disappearances, and she essentially goes off to continue on the trail that he was on in order to either find her father or find the answer to these disappearances. And also, side note, I'm pretty sure this book is set in Korea, and we love that. Then in May, there's only one book I have for May. On May 4th, there's The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He, and this is probably one of, if not my favorite cover of all of these books. This cover is just stunning. It's enough. Honestly, I feel like this book could be bad and I would just love it for the cover. Just kidding. So this is a young adult sci-fi mystery thriller, and it's also tagged dystopian, so I'm very interested in that part as well. One of the most twisty, surprising, engaging page-turner YAs you'll read this year. So this book follows C, who woke up on an abandoned island 3 years ago with no idea of how she was marooned. She only has a rickety house, an old android, and a single memory that she has a sister, and she essentially sets out to find her. So, a very interesting premise. I feel like I've seen movies similar to a plot like this, but I'm really interested in reading it. And I honestly feel like this is going to be a book that kind of tugs at my heartstrings. Something about the synopsis just makes me feel like I might cry. Because I'm a sponge, and I do cry often over everything. And I'm prepared for this book. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I feel it coming, if you know what I mean. Then moving on to June, on June 1st, we have An Emotion of Great Delight by Tahara Mafi. Tahara Mafi is the author of the Shatter Me series, and I'm very intrigued, and I'm very happy that she's kind of branching out. This book, once again, sounds like I'm gonna sob. Literally sounds like I'm gonna have a mental breakdown while reading it, and I'm here for it. And it has such a happy title, but the synopsis just screams sad. The synopsis literally just screams sad to the wind. This book takes place after 9/11, and so that's really all I needed to know that this is going to be sad. But to really add to the sadness, it says, An Emotion of Great Delight is a searing look into the world of a single Muslim family in the wake of 9/11. It's about a child of immigrants forging a blurry identity, falling in love, and finding hope in the midst of a modern war. And I feel like this book is just going to be so important. There's just something about this book that I just really hope a lot of people read, and I really hope that it is good and as well represented as it sounds like it's going to be. I just feel like this is going to be an important book. And a sad one. Really sad. Next up, on June 8th, we have Daughter of Sparta by Claire M. Andrews. This is another book heavily influenced by Greek mythology, which, like I said in the beginning of this video, is something I'm incredibly interested in. And this is a young adult book. And essentially it says, Sparta forged her into a deadly weapon. Now the gods need her to save the world. So from what I understand, there are 9 mysterious items that go missing from Mount Olympus, and our main character, Daphne, sets out to find them in order to save the destruction of the gods and the mortals and just save the world. I'm invested. I'm ready. Then on June 10th, we have Ace of Spades, and this one is actually very high up on my list. This book just sounds like everything. It explores being Black and being queer. It also touches on racism, and I just feel like this is going to be a very important read as well. It says an incendiary, an utterly compelling thriller with a shocking twist that delves deep into the heart of institutionalized racism from an exceptional new YA voice. And I also saw that I got tagged for Dark Academia, and I love books set in a dark academia type setting, so I'm very intrigued to see where this will go. I'm extremely excited, and I really hope it's good, and I hope a lot of people read it. Next, on June 15th, we have Blood Like Magic by Lascelles Sambury. Now, the cover, I know I keep mentioning the covers, but the cover, wow. So this is a dark urban fantasy where we follow a teen witch who is tasked with killing her one true love. However, she's never been in love. So she kind of sets off to find someone to fall in love with before she kills them. And that just sounds so fascinating. Like, this just sounds like it's gonna be wild. Absolutely wild. And I'm super excited. Anything with witches, I'm in. I'm 100% in on this. So next up is July, and there's only one book in this month, and that is You, Me at the End of the World by Brianna Bourne, which comes out on July 20th. And this book, I literally only know that it follows a girl and a boy, and they're the last people on Earth. And that's all I really want to know. I kind of want to keep it at that minimal knowledge. I kind of just want to go into it a little bit more blind, just because a plot like this, where it's just 2 people left alone in the world, I feel like I just want to go into it completely open and not have too high expectations. But I am anticipating liking it. This is the only other contemporary on this list. I think this is only the second. Like I said, I don't really do contemporary that much, but I'm just going to go into it with a very open mind, and hopefully I like it. Then in August, all of the books that I'm anticipating for August actually come out on the same day. So I have 3 books for August 3rd, so that is just going to be like a little mini book Christmas, and I'm stoked. So the first one is The Dead in the Dark by Courtney Gold. This is a debut young adult thriller, and it also is tagged LGBT, ghosts, paranormal, mystery, horror. Yes, like give it all to me. It just sounds so fascinating. The Dead in the Dark is about things that lurk in dark corners, the parts of you that can't remain hidden, and about finding home in places and people you didn't expect. The dark has been waiting for far too long and it won't stay hidden any longer. Something is wrong in Snakebite, Oregon. Teenagers are disappearing. Some are turning up dead. Yes. This just sounds like it's going to be a wild ride. It just sounds like there's a lot of layers to this book. There's also, from what I understand, is an LGBT romance as well, so I'm excited to see how that develops in the book. And I'm just very excited. I have very high expectations for this book, as pretty much every other book on this list, but you know, you get what I mean. Next up, we have The Woods Are Always Watching by Stephanie Perkins. This is another young adult horror, and all I needed to know before I added this to my list is that it took place in the woods. Any horror setting in the woods is automatically 10 times more interesting to me, and it doesn't really have a long synopsis either. Literally, it's just two girls go backpacking in the woods, things go very wrong, and then their paths collide with a serial killer. Say less. I have not read Stephanie Perkins' other book, which was There's Someone Inside Your House. I did hear mixed reviews on it, and I wasn't ever really quite in the mood to read it, but I think I do want to make an effort to read that before this comes out, just to get a vibe for her writing and see how I like it. And even if I don't end up liking it, I still 100% plan on reading this one, and I'm super stoked, regardless. Then last up on April 3rd, we have How We Fall Apart by Katie Zhao. This is another young adult thriller / mystery, and it's being pegged as Crazy Rich Asians meets One of Us is Lying. Now, I wasn't the biggest fan of One of Us is Lying, but I did kind of enjoy and appreciate the premise of it. I just thought it was poorly executed. So I hope that this one kind of executes better, I guess. And I did love Crazy Rich Asians, so I'm very intrigued to see how those two collide, because they're two polar opposites, in my opinion, which makes me even more intrigued to read this. So students at an elite prep school are forced to confront their secrets when their ex-best friend turns up dead. That seems to be a common thing with a lot of these books. There seems to be a lot of death going around here, but I do enjoy thrillers, horrors, all the works, as I've said, so I am excited to see where this goes. I'm excited for every book on this list. That actually is all 21 of my 21 most anticipated books for 2021. If there is a book that you're excited about that I didn't mention, please feel free to leave it in the comments. I'm always looking for new book recommendations. If you think I'd like it, let me know. And also to note, if all things go to plan, this will be my first video on this channel, or at least my first bookish video, and I'm very excited. I've wanted to do this for a long time. So if you are interested in following my reading journey and hearing my thoughts and reviews of books that I read, and overall just staying up to date with my content, feel free to subscribe and like this video. Also, I will link my social medias below if you'd like to kind of delve into other things. Like I said, I cosplay as well, so my Instagram will be linked down below. And yeah, I hope you like this video, and I will see you in the next one.